Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show. My name is Leon Jones. Tonight's topic, I want to talk about the symptoms of an alcohol use disorder. Now, there are now 11 new criteria used to diagnose alcohol use disorder known as AUD, AUD. Now, when it comes to alcohol, new research has found that the alcohol use disorder, known as AUD, AUD, is often an untreated epidemic in the United States. Now, do you have an alcohol use disorder or an AUD, AUD? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you the 11 new criteria that is used to identify alcohol use disorder. Now, globally, alcohol use disorder is one of the most prevalent mental health disorders and the leading causes of sickness and death. Now, in the United States, alcohol use disorders and binge drinking have increased in recent years. Unfortunately, only 19.8% of adults with lifetime alcohol use disorder ever seek treatment by asking for help. Now, a study published in April 2015 reported that binge drinking in the United States is escalating. On the average, heavy drinking amongst Americans rose 17.2% between 2005 and 2012. Now, the skyrocketing increase of alcohol consumption by American women is considered to be the driving force behind the nationwide escalation of binge drinking. Now, across the nation, binge drinking amongst women has increased more than 7 times the rate amongst men. Now, the June 2015 study of epidemiology of DSM-5, if you don't know what DSM-5 is, it's the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Health Disorders, 5th edition. And that is telling you that AUD, or alcohol use disorder, it was published in the journal JAMA Psychiatry. Now, the study was led by Dr. Bridget F. Grant of the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, known as NIAAA, at the National Institutes of Health, NIH, which is located in Bethesda, Maryland. Now, the revised data is based on new guidelines diagnosed in, I'm giving it to you right now, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition, DSM-5, for diagnosing alcohol use disorder. Now, the study found a lifetime AUD prevalence of 29.1% and a 12-month prevalence of 13.9%. Now, this represents approximately 68.5 million and 32.6 million adults, respectively. Now, the findings of the June 2015 study were based on a sample size of 36,309 adults. Researchers compared previous statistics based on the diagnostic data to examine changes in the prevalence in AUD under the new DSM-5 criteria. Now, across the board, there were differences in the corresponding rates of AUD when compared to the previous diagnostic criteria of DSM-4. Now, the authors emphasize that more research is needed to identify the reason for the increase and explain the discrepancies in the rates of alcohol use disorder from previous years. Now, the changes in the diagnostic data from the DSM-4 to the DSM-5 included the elimination of separate categories for alcohol abuse and dependent diagnosis. Now, the DSM-5 also eliminated legal problems as a symptom, but added cravings to the 11 symptoms of alcohol use disorder. Now, under the new fact sheet, it stated that AUD, or alcohol use disorder, which I'm going to talk about the comparison between DSM-4 and DSM-5, includes a useful chart for comparing the old definitions of alcohol abuse and dependence with the new streamlined criteria for alcohol use disorder. Now, the DSM-5 criteria has been combined into a single diagnosis of AUD, alcohol use disorder, based on 11 symptoms. Now, the 11 symptoms of AUD, or alcohol use disorder, start this way. The first one is alcohol is taken in larger amounts over a period of time than was intended. Number two, there was a persistent desire or unsuccessful effort to cut down or control alcohol use. Number three, a great deal of time is spent in activities necessary to obtain alcohol, use alcohol, or recover from its effects. Number four, craving or a strong desire or urge to use alcohol. Number five, recurrent alcohol use resulting in a failure to fill major role obligations at work, school, or home. Number six, continued alcohol use despite having persistent or recurrent social or interpersonal problems caused or exacerbated by the effects of alcohol. Number seven, important social, occupational, or recreational activities are given up or reduced because of alcohol use. Number eight, recurrent alcohol use in situations in which it is physically hazardous. Number nine, alcohol use is continued despite knowledge of having a persistent or recurrent physical or psychological problem that is likely to have been caused or exacerbated by alcohol. Number 10, tolerance as defined by either the following. A need for markedly increased amounts of alcohol to achieve intoxication or desired effect. B, a markedly diminished effect with continued use of the same amount of alcohol. And number 11, withdrawal as manifested by either the following. A, characteristic withdrawal syndrome for alcohol, and B, is taken to relieve or withdrawal symptoms. Alcohol is basically taken to relieve or withdrawal symptoms. Now, that being said, the reason why binge drinking is going up is because there are a number of people who are drinking alcohol. And I can tell you in two places alone. Number one, if you've been in the military, and I was in the United States Navy, and for the most part, what do we do when we pulled in the ports? We went to the bars to drink alcohol. And there were people that I was in the Navy with who had never had a sip of alcohol but became alcoholics after the first trip to the Mediterranean. Then when you go to college, you're going to have a lot of peer pressure, frat parties, dances. It's going to lead to binge alcohol drinking. Now, what does it mean? Well, when you drink alcohol and you get in a car and you operate a motor vehicle, it's going to be likely that you are going to not only kill yourself, but an innocent driver. Now, one beer, one glass of wine, and a shot glass of any alcoholic beverage equals the same. And what I mean the same, the national BAC is 0.08. Now, I have a CDL, and it's even lower. So folks with a CDL, your BAC, blood alcohol content, is 0.04. Now, you violate that, you could lose your CDL for up to 6 months. I know here in Indiana, that's the rule. Now, you can get your operator's license back based on you not having driven a car. Now, in Indiana, if you get 2 DUIs, it's considered a felony. And it's very hard to get a job when you have a felony on your record. Now, alcohol can lead to a lot of bad decisions in life. It can lead to violence. It can lead to mental abuse, depression. But most of us drink alcohol to make us feel good. Let's just be honest. Now, the statistic that was taken based on 36,000, I don't like to quote statistics. That was a very small sample. I mean, 36,000 when we have approximately 350 million living in the United States, they came out with a number of 68 million who are on some type of substance, alcohol substance. That's basically 1/6 of the population. That really makes no sense. Now, what is considered being intoxicated? It's going over the BAC, the blood alcohol content of 0.08. Now, they have it in some cars to where you have a system that is tied into your car. If you put your key in, it's going to register whether you are intoxicated or not, which is very good because you have over 43,000 car accidents a year, and a number of them are caused by drunk driving. Now, well, all being said, the best thing you need to do is this. The presence of at least two of these symptoms indicates an AUD, and the severity of an AUD is basically graded mild, moderate, or severe. Now, mild is the presence of 2 to 3 symptoms. When it comes to moderate, that's the presence of 4 to 5 symptoms. And severe, that is the presence of 6 or more symptoms. And that was the list of 11 symptoms that I had given you that is diagnosed in the 5th edition of DSM-5, known as the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, 5th edition. And it came out in 2013. That's the new criteria used to diagnose alcohol use. Now they call it an alcohol use disorder. Now, to sum everything up, alcohol abuse has potentially hazardous conditions. Why? Because it has the potential to destroy people's lives. Hopefully, raising awareness of these 11 symptoms that I mentioned for diagnosing alcohol use disorders will lead more individuals to seek help if they have 2 or more of the 11 symptoms that I talked about. Now, in summing up all of the findings in the study, Dr. Bridget Grant and colleagues concluded, most importantly, this study highlighted the urgency of educating the public and policymakers about alcohol use disorder and its treatments, destigmatizing the disorder and encouraging amongst those who cannot reduce their alcohol consumption basically on their own, despite substantial harm to themselves and others, to seek treatment. And that's basically what individuals need to do. Seek treatment. Because when it comes to alcohol, this subject is talked about. But when it comes to seeking treatment, this is where you have a number of individuals, along with drug abuse, which I'm going to do that video as well. They're in denial about having an alcohol problem. But believe it or not, it is a big problem in the United States. Now, do the alcohol manufacturers care? No, they're making big money. Alcohol is a big billion-dollar business, regardless of how many people have been hurt by the use of alcohol. So what I want to do is just put out this information to help educate people about how alcohol use is diagnosed. Again, I am not a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or a doctor. I am a civil engineer, but it is good that all of us, regardless of what your profession is, we must understand alcohol abuse, because there are a number of us who drink alcohol for, we say, pleasure, but a number of us want to get intoxicated. And what happens? Intoxication causes bad decision making. You see the results of a number of drunk drivers killed in automobile accidents. That's why you have organizations such as Mad Mothers Against Drunk Driving, because the group was established when their children were innocently killed by a drunk driver. And believe it, this drunk driving is very serious. Some people don't think it is because it doesn't happen to them. But be aware, alcohol consumption is up and it's going to keep going up. But what I'm going to do, I hope there are others out there that are going to do the same thing, whether you're on YouTube or Narcotics Anonymous or MAD. We need to keep putting information out to educate people on the dangers of alcohol, because alcohol can have effects on your liver, cirrhosis of the liver. When you get too drunk, they have to pump the alcohol out of your system. You get a hangover. And I'm not going to lie, I've had a few hangovers in my day. That's why I don't drink like that, because it's very difficult to function when you drink a lot of alcohol. Now, there are some people, depending on their tolerance level, they can have a lot of alcohol, but it doesn't mean that they are functioning properly. You have normal people who are alcoholics. But in the end, a person who drinks alcohol, they can snap at any time. So if you have loved ones out there and they're alcoholics, be sure to give them some help, because there have been many people who have died from the result of alcohol use. Some of your musicians out there, athletes. Alcohol use does not discriminate, but treatment doesn't discriminate either. The bottom line is the individual that must be responsible for his or her own alcohol consumption. Because in the end, if you get treatment, you can save your life and someone else's life. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show for this evening, Sunday, July 23rd, 2017. You can tune into the 411 Talk Zone radio show every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio. I didn't have a show today because I've been busy with a lot of other projects, so I'm going to try to get the show on next week. I'm going to talk about on that show the effeminization of men for hypergamy. And this is where simping comes from. You don't want to miss that show. And I'm also do some special podcasts as well. I'll keep you informed. But if you want to get in on any of my Blog Talk radio shows, the guest call-in number is 215-383-5785. And if you missed any of my Blog Talk radio shows, you can click on the links under all of my videos, go to my Facebook page or my Twitter page, and you'll find my archived Blog Talk radio shows there. Moving on. If you like my videos, please share and subscribe to the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube, so I can continue to give you quality information for educational purposes from a professional and mature perspective. Now, on this channel, I don't engage in controversy, debates, or emotional issues. Although alcohol abuse can be an emotional issue, it's also a social issue, but that's based on how you take it. But if you're educated enough and you see what goes on with alcohol abuse and you utilize logic, it doesn't have to be emotional, but it is a social issue in a sense that it does harm a number of people in society. That being said, I do not engage in drama or unnecessary bickering. Why? Because it is counterproductive and simply a waste of time. What I do on my channel is try to educate people, give them the information that you don't get in the mainstream media. Why? Because the mainstream media is only going to give you what they want to give you. A lot of information that is against their narrative is omitted. And that's why you come to this channel when it comes to mental health topics. And I'll give you my clear-cut information because I research all of my information and I give you information based on my own personal experiences. Because in the real world, if you don't have any education, you are not going to understand how the system works. So my channel provides a tool because the information is positive and realistic, because knowledge is powerful. Now, if you are a new business owner, a new YouTuber, and you'd like to suggest a topic for me to do on Blog Talk Radio, or you want me to shout you out on Blog Talk Radio and here on YouTube, all you have to do is email me at lej6521@gmail.com. And if you have a comment, and I like comments, but I want all my comments to be intelligent. Yes, you have the trolls out here. All my subscribers, if you're going to comment in my comment section, uphold the code. And the code of conduct is to be professional. Trolls are disrespectful. Ignore them. You put your comment down. I'll make sure I answer all comments, because I want comments under the comment section, or in the comment section under the video. Please make sure that your comments are pithy. No bloviating, pettifogging, or filibustering if you wish to opine. Now that's it for this video. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. Remember, please be gentle and respectful to each other, and have a wonderful and blessed night. Good night.